All right, so hello everyone. Today I have with me Simon Plumb with Currencies Direct, and we're going to be talking about why it's important and the different things that you need to know about when selling your home about currency exchange companies. So Simon, if you want to go ahead and get us started, why don't you just tell us a little bit about background on Currencies Direct and kind of what your role is in the selling process to help out owners.
Sure. Yeah, great to see you, Kelly. So Currencies Direct's been around since 1996. It's one of the longest established companies in the industry. And we specialise in foreign currency exchange and international payments. We don't do any other type of financial products. We just specialise in that area. So we started off in London, and then our first overseas office was in Spain. I think now we're up to about 15 offices in Spain. We're in South Africa. We're in India. We're in France, Portugal, Italy, all through Europe. Australia, New Zealand, and obviously here in the USA for about the last 7 or 8 years now in the US. So it's a really growing, active market. We started off in Florida. There's a lot of international people who own vacation homes in and around the Disney market. So it was an obvious place to start, and now we're expanding across the US. So we deal in lots of different sectors, but a lot of it is property related for individuals. So, it's really the time when people are going to be moving the most amount of money is when they're selling or buying a property. And that's when there's really the most savings to be had over using a bank. So we tend to specialize really, particularly in Florida, in the property market. As I said, so we really make sure we understand the whole process. Obviously, we're not experts like yourself, we're not realtors, but when it comes to the financial aspects of it and getting the best way to move the money back, we've sort of become experts in that field.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about some of the services that you offer specifically for the clients that I may be directing you to.
Yeah, sure. If I talk through a typical sale, perhaps, and just explain how we get involved, perhaps that would be relatable to the people who are watching this. So, when someone's selling their home here in the US, generally what happens is, the realtors get all the contracts sorted. Hopefully, they find you a buyer nice and quickly and negotiate everything. And everything goes smoothly, Kelly. Right? Nothing ever goes wrong. It always goes seamless and just takes a few days. So, what happens is then. We would open an account for the client. So that's all in place prior to the actual sale date, the closing date. So what happens is then when the sale actually completes, the title company in the USA, and for those of you not from the US, the title company operates very much like a lawyer or a solicitor does in the UK. What happens is they disperse the payments out. So the funds then would go from the title company's escrow account to the escrow account of Currencies Direct in dollars, straight to dollars. And at that point, then we're able to offer the best exchange rate we can, whether it's back to Canada, whether it's back to UK, whether it's back to anywhere in Europe, anywhere around the world, really. The money will then go back to them in their currency at obviously a really good exchange rate compared to using the bank. Title companies are great, do a really good job, but really they'll just, if you're not using a currency exchange company, they'll just use whichever bank they have a relationship with to do it, and they'll just book the rate, and it could be as much as 4, 5, even 6% higher fees than you would get through a foreign exchange company. Which, if you're selling a home, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, that's a huge, obviously a huge saving. So generally our services are, moving the money back, or we can set certain tools. So we have what we call like a rate watch. So if a client wants to wait until the market is at a particular rate, we can put that in. If they want to lock a rate in advance, a forward contract, we can do that as well. We can set up actually a contract that will just actually go live the minute it hits a certain rate. So it activates, so people don't have to be watching it. So basically, we take away all that angst of looking at the exchange rate and wondering what the markets are going to do. We've got experts and tools to do that. So we'll do that. Although we can't control the market, unfortunately, what we can do is try and work with the client to time it to get the best possible exchange rate that we possibly can. And generally, there's a thing called FERP, to withholding tax, that gets paid out. So if people have to pay that, that normally gets paid out 3 or 4 months later, and we can take care of that as well. We also have the ability to, if someone's actually finishing all of their investments and everything up in the US and they have some money left over in the US bank account, we can actually help them to get that final few funds out of the bank account and close everything down. I don't know if how many people are aware, but after 9/11, there was the Patriot Act came in, and one of the sort of sections of the Patriot Act makes it virtually impossible for anybody not in the USA to access funds in the US. So if someone does sell a property, Kelly, and the money goes to their US bank account and they're in Canada or they're in Europe, they can't go online and access the funds. And actually the bank will tell them they've got to go into a branch. Now that's not really, at the moment no one can travel, but even in normal circumstances, to fly 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles to access your account is not practical for most people. So
especially when you don't own your property anymore, you don't have anywhere to stay. But
absolutely, yeah.
That's probably the biggest hurdle that I come across that most sellers aren't aware of, which is why, you know, I start early in the process talking about, okay, what are your plans to do with the funds, you know, once you sell your property?
Yeah, absolutely. And that way it goes straight from the title company to Currencies Direct. So the client doesn't have to worry about that. Once we've got it in the escrow account, we can then release all of it, or they can trade it in, you know, in chunks, whatever one day. And you're absolutely right. And people do get caught out that. You obviously work a lot in the international market, so you're aware. Unfortunately, some realtors who maybe don't have a lot of experience in selling international homes, they're not lying to their clients. They just don't have that level of base knowledge to tell them that you need to be careful here, because if this goes to your bank account and you're not here, you're going to have some real challenges accessing that money. And it's a real problem. It's not, you know, you can't just ring up and be nice to the bank manager and think you're going to get away with it. It's a hard and fast rule, and it's a very difficult thing. There are a few complex solutions, but it's a headache you really want to avoid.
Yeah. Okay, so you've mentioned quite a few things over the last few minutes. So give me your top 3 reasons, you know, why someone should go through a currency exchange company versus just dealing with whatever local bank they're dealing with, or a bank that they already have an established relationship with.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. But there's 3 main things really are the price, the speed, and the security. They're the 3 things that we always talk to clients about. And depending on the clients, those things are, you know, ranking different of importance for that particular client. So number 1 is it's 100% secure. It's very heavily regulated, insured sector. It's, you know, regulated as much, if not more, than the bank. So the money's 100% safe. It never gets commingled. It goes from escrow account to escrow account to the client account. So that's really important to understand that money is secure. Also, the speed is a big factor, because what happens is that the money, Kelly, goes from the title company to Currencies Direct into a US account. We would then pay the client out from the local account in Canada, or a local account in France, or a local account in England. They don't need to wait days and days and days for the funds to move from countries. We instantly collect in one account and pay out in another. And then the big thing is obviously the price. Even if you was to save, you know, 2%, which would be probably the minimum, you know, it's $2,000 in every 100,000. That's a lot of money, and that's at the low end of the scale. I mean, this whole sector, this whole industry that I'm in, wouldn't exist if the banks were good at it, to be totally honest, you know.
Right.
You know, and I'm not picking on any one particular bank. You know, we do price checking all the time against the banks, and it can comfortably be 4, 5, 6% better on the exchange rate. And also, because we collect locally and pay out locally, we get rid of a lot of those wire fees that $40 for this, $50 for that. And again, these really do add up. You know, it's expensive. Real estate transactions are expensive. You want to try and keep those costs down as much as possible.
Very good. Is there anything else that you want to add or talk about, some of the different items on your website or anything?
Yeah, I think one of the big advantages is that you're actually tapping into a company that has experts to help you get the best time of the market, whereas a bank will just do a transfer from A to B and that's it. They're not invested in watching the rate or helping you or saying you can do it in bits and pieces, whereas because this is all we do, we've developed a suite of tools that enable the client to go online, see what rate they can get 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They can go on the app. They can speak to somebody, you know, on the other end of the phone and have a conversation about it and get some advice on the best time to maybe look at doing it. So I think that's really the advantage, is that you're getting a currency expert that you can speak to. Calling a bank is very difficult. Press one. If you ring up with all the options, none of them are going to say, I need to send money internationally. It's not. You can listen right to option 9. It's not going to be there.
Right.
And I remember when I first came over here, you can hear from my accent, I'm not obviously originally from here. I remember the first time I tried to send money back to the UK, I went into my bank and they were looking around for what form they needed, and everyone was asking each other, and what do we need to do? And that, just because they just don't have a lot of experience, you know, doing it. They're set up to help the very, very big organizations move money. They're not really set up to help the private individual do that. And that's really the big advantage of any really currency exchange company. Obviously, I'm here hoping that people use Currencies Direct, but certainly don't just fall for the trap. You've got to use your bank. There's a lot better options out there for you to get a better exchange rate, and just do some due diligence. You know, go on the website of the company you're looking at, look at their regulatory information, look at how long they've been established. I always say as well, you know, read the reviews. Just like any industry, if you're booking a hotel or whatever, a restaurant, you read the reviews, and, you know, if 20 reviews are good and one's bad, you generally think that's pretty much okay, right? And check them out and see what people are saying. That's really important as well.
Well, good. If people need to get a hold of you, give us your information.
Yeah, the best way to contact us in the US office would be usa@currenciesdirect.com. That would go to the office there and someone can reach out straight away. The currenciesdirect.com website is great. There's loads of information there that I've talked about. And again, it steers you to all the regulatory stuff and then reviews and all the different products we offer. So yeah, the website's a great place to start for information, or email usa@currenciesdirect.com. Give us a time you want to get us to call you. We've got obviously the US office, but we've got people all over the world. So if they don't have to wait for me to wake up, you know, being 5 hours ahead of the UK. If they want to call from one of my colleagues in London can call, one of my colleagues in Spain or Canada, we can reach out all over the world to give people the information whenever they want to receive it.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for all the information. I think that was very helpful. And I'll also put the contact information below as well. So hopefully if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to you.
Great. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of it.